So this is the second video for Lesson 19 in Algebra 1, Lesson 19, B as in boy, and this section is going to deal with roots. So the roots section is kind of going backwards, kind of like when you add and subtract. Those are opposites, kind of, they're inverses, multiplication and divide. It's the same with exponents and roots. So if we have 3 squared, and that gives us 9, and we want to go from 9 back to the 3, what we do is we put another symbol on the 9 that says what two numbers multiplied together give you 9, and that's what it looks like. This is called a radical sign. This is called a radicand. Radicand. And the number that goes in this little space, and I'll use red here, is a 2, because we're looking at what number times itself twice will give us 9, and that's where this 2 comes from, is that 2 will go in there to tell you that we want to know what number times itself twice will give me 9. What if I had a 27 and a 3 in there? Now it's saying what number times itself 3 times will give us 27. In this case, it's 3. The cubed root, this is called a cube, this is called a square, and if we had like a 4, it would be called the fourth root. So the fourth root of 81 is what number times itself 4 times will give us 81, and the answer would be 3. So you're going backwards. So instead of 3 to the 4th power equals 81, we're taking the fourth root of 81 and finding out what number did we start with. What number multiplied by itself 4 times is going to give us 81. Now, because most of the roots that we're going to be dealing with are square roots with a 2 there, we just don't even show it. We just write it like that, and that's called the square root. So when it says the square root of 9, that means what number times itself twice will give you 9. So that's just the common way of writing that. If I have some negative numbers involved, such as the negative square root of 9, the answer to that would be the square root of 9 with our negative put on there. If we had something like the fourth root of 81, that means what number times itself 4 times will give us 81, and the answer is 3, and because of that number it would be a negative 3. Now let's deal with square roots with negative numbers. So if we had the square root of negative 9, there is no such thing, because there's not two numbers multiplied together that are going to give you a negative 9, because if they're the same number, it would have to be either 3 times 3 or negative 3 times negative 3. Well, 2 positives give you a positive 9, 2 negatives give you a positive 9, so there's no way to get a negative 9 unless you did 3 times negative 3, but those are not the same numbers, so that doesn't work. So there is no answer if you're looking for the square root of a number. Now, that's true whenever the index, whenever the number that goes in here is even, and the number in here is negative, there is no answer. But sometimes the index in there is odd. So let's say, for instance, I have the square root of negative 27, or the cubed root of negative 27. That means 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, but we want it negative. What if we put a negative there, there, and there? Well, how many negatives do we have? We have 3. 3 is an odd number. Odd numbered negatives always give you a negative for your answer. So negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9 times this negative 3. Positive times a negative is negative 27. So when this number is odd, this number in here can be negative. But if this number here is even, this number cannot be negative. It won't work. The last section in Lesson 19 is called the evaluation of powers. The evaluation of powers means that they're going to give you an expression, and they're going to ask you to figure out what the answer is based on them telling you what the variables equal. So let's just try one. They say if a equals negative 2 and we have an a squared, what does that equal if a is negative 2? Well, if a is negative 2, that means this is going to be negative 2, and this is why I use parentheses. A is negative 2, so your answer is positive 4. What if I have that and a is negative 2? So I've got negative, and a is negative 2 squared. So whatever a is, I'm going to put in parentheses. So then I'm going to do this first, because you always do exponents first. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Exponents come before multiplication and division. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. This negative here goes on our answer. The next one says, what if a is cubed? Well, then I have negative 2, and I have a cube. So negative, this is what that one is, that negative right there. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, which gives me a positive 8 for my answer. And keep going. What if I have negative a cubed? That says negative a is negative 2, so that whole thing is cubed. So see, every time I saw an a, I put it in parentheses, even though there's a negative right here. So that gives me negative 2 times negative 2 is 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And then this negative here goes on there, which gives me a positive 8. So you see how confusing these can be with all the negative signs and putting them together? That's why I ask you to show your work instead of trying to do these in your head, is it's real hard to keep track of all your negatives when you're doing that. So if I give you that, and I tell you that x is 2, z is equal to 3, that's an equal sign, z is equal to 3, and y is equal to negative 2. Alright, so let's use that. X is 2, z is 3, y is negative 2. Whoops, that's got to be 3, doesn't it? There we go. Alright, so this is going to give me 4, this is going to give me 27, and this is negative 2. So 4 times 27 is 108. We're going to multiply that by negative 2, and that's going to give me negative 216 for an answer there. Alright, let's look at one more. Let's look at 19.8. We've got p m squared minus z cubed. And they're telling me that p is equal to 1, m equals negative 4, and z equals negative 2. So p is 1, m is negative 4, minus, and z is negative 2 cubed. So negative 4 times negative 4 is 16 times 1 minus negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. I'm sorry, 8. What am I thinking? So 16 plus 8 is 24, and that's my answer. So that's it for lesson 19.